Hello everyone. We are here with a new video with a horrifying true story. In this video we're going to hear the nightmare story of a group of friends who went to Las Vegas. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more true stories. Have a good time. I was 23 years old when this happened. I'm 27 now, and not a week has gone by without me thinking about that trip. We were celebrating our friend Andrew's 21st birthday, and we decided to take him to Las Vegas. Andrew was always the quiet, shy type, and we all knew he hadn't had any romantic experiences yet. Our plan was simple: get him drunk and, to put it bluntly, help him lose his virginity. We checked into the Carriage House Hotel, which was one of the more affordable options we could find, with 7 of us in total. We had 2 separate rooms. 4 of us stayed in one room, and Andrew was with us. The first thing we did was grab a bite to eat, because we were all starving. Then we hit the casinos just for the sake of it. Out of the 7 of us, only 1 left with more money than they had when they entered. As the night went on, we explored various bars, and as our night got blurrier and funnier, we eventually ended up in a wild nightclub. 2 of our friends, John and Eddie, left the club with girls. Their expressions made it clear they were about to get lucky. The rest of us were desperate to help Andrew approach a girl, but even in his inebriated state, he remained too shy to make a move. We reached a point where we felt desperate to find someone for Andrew. It was becoming clear he wouldn't meet anyone at this rate during the whole trip, so we decided to leave the club in search of a working girl. I know it might sound strange, but by that time, we were all completely hammered. We approached a lone girl walking on the street, acting foolishly, and asked if she'd be interested in hanging out with our friend Andrew, who, despite being intoxicated, was still noticeably less impaired than us. The girl wasn't anything special, even considering my intoxicated state, but we wanted Andrew to have a good time. I don't recall exactly what she said in response, but I do remember her voice being somewhat deep, and I exchanged glances with my friend vaguely. I recall her scrutinizing Andrew from head to toe. Without remembering her exact words, I recall her grabbing Andrew's arm, and the 2 of them walked off down the sidewalk. We laughed at how awkward Andrew must have felt, but none of us found anything weird about the situation. Out of curiosity, we decided to follow them to see what would happen next. As we followed them, it seemed like they exchanged no words. In fact, it appeared as though the girl was pulling him along. We trailed behind them for about 15 minutes. Although it might have been much longer, I couldn't say for sure. We were on a darker, quieter street. Eventually, they entered a building that we assumed to be an apartment complex, and we decided to leave. We were happy and proud for Andrew, so there was no reason to wait around. We headed back to the club around 2 in the morning. Upon our return to the hotel, Andrew wasn't in either of the rooms. I began to sober up slightly and concern started to creep in. John and Eddie, who had joined us later, were shocked to hear what had happened. We assumed that Andrew had spent the night with the girl. Still, it was out of character for him, and it left us feeling uneasy. I tried texting and calling him, but he didn't respond. My friends reassured me and told me to relax. I eventually drifted off to sleep, but I was awakened by a ringing sound. Initially, half asleep, I thought it was an alarm clock and fumbled to turn it off. However, as my head cleared, I realized it was my phone ringing. It was Andrew's number. For some reason, my heart sank. My friends were already awake because of the ringing. I answered the call and heard Andrew's heavy breathing on the other end. I put him on speakerphone so everyone could listen. Andrew whispered into the phone, and while most of it was unintelligible, we could make out some of what he said. He whispered, "It was that woman. Guys, you gotta get over here right now." We tried to engage him, but he didn't respond to our questions. The line went silent. We all screamed into the phone, asking if he was okay and what was happening. By that point, I was trembling. Then, something shattered the silence on the other end, the sound of a door being forcefully opened, followed by Andrew's horrifying scream. The call abruptly ended. We were all in a state of panic, and I called the police, trying to recall the address or at least the street. Unfortunately, we were so intoxicated the previous night that I couldn't even remember the route we had taken. One of my friends claimed he remembered it, though. The police arrived at the hotel, and my friend led them to the building. Two officers went inside while we waited by the patrol car. The minutes felt like hours as we waited in fear and anticipation. One of the officers eventually came outside and asked us to come in to confirm whether the dead body inside belonged to Andrew. I felt like my entire world had collapsed as my friends, John and Eddie, started crying. They didn't want to go inside, so I accompanied the officer. The building turned out not to be an apartment complex, but rather a dark, abandoned storage building. We found a dead body leaning out from an open closet. The lifeless face with an open mouth stared blankly at the ceiling. It was horrifying, but it wasn't Andrew. I knew it instantly because this boy had blonde hair, while Andrew had black hair. The officers had already searched the place, but they couldn't find any sign of Andrew. We all did our best to forget about it. But a little over a month later, I received a late-night phone call. I picked up, and there was a bad connection with no one speaking. Just as I was about to hang up, I heard a faint yet familiar voice say, "Jesse." I yelled, "Andrew," but the call abruptly ended with the sound of a door slamming in the background. We were all freaking out. The late-night call sent shivers down my spine and left us all feeling even more desperate for answers. We couldn't just sit idly by. Our friend Andrew seemed to be in grave danger. With the call still echoing in our minds, we decided to take matters into our own hands. We contacted the police and shared the call's details, hoping they could trace it back to its source. It was a long shot, but we had to try. As we anxiously waited for the police to follow up on the lead, we couldn't help but wonder what had happened to Andrew that fateful night. It felt like an eternity, but finally, there was a breakthrough. The police managed to track down the location of the call. We rushed to the address, our hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. The location turned out to be an old, decrepit warehouse on the outskirts of the city. It was a place that sent chills down our spines just by looking at it. With the police in tow, we entered the building, cautiously making our way through its eerie darkness. The echoes of our footsteps and the creaking of the old structure intensified our unease. We called out for Andrew, but there was no response. Finally, we stumbled upon a room that seemed to be the source of the call. Inside, we found a cell phone on the ground, and a chilling silence filled the air. Our hearts sank, fearing the worst. But then, in a corner of the room, hidden behind a pile of debris, we saw Andrew. He was in rough shape, battered and bruised, but alive. The relief that washed over us was indescribable. Andrew recounted his terrifying ordeal. He had been lured into a trap by that mysterious woman who was involved in some criminal activities. She had taken him hostage in that abandoned warehouse, and he had endured days of captivity and torment. The police swiftly apprehended the woman and her associates, bringing an end to their sinister operation. Andrew, though traumatized, was eventually reunited with his family and friends. The incident left a lasting scar on all of us, a reminder of the dangers that could befall even the most innocent of adventures. Looking back, we realized how close we had come to losing Andrew forever. It was a stark reminder that life can take unexpected and harrowing turns, and the bonds of friendship can be tested in the most challenging circumstances. Our Las Vegas trip, which had started with lighthearted intentions, had turned into a nightmarish experience, but it had also shown us the strength of our friendship and the resilience of the human spirit. We would forever carry the memories of that fateful night, a testament to the enduring power of friendship in the face of adversity. Don't forget to follow our channel and like our video to hear more true and horrifying stories like this. See you soon.